For 40 years, Amit Shah has been by Modi's side. He is the confidant, advisor and right-hand man of the Indian Prime Minister and the second most powerful person in India. Modi is 14 years older than Shah, and there is a common view in Indian politics that Shah will one day succeed Modi as the Prime Minister of India. Over the past 40 years, these two have worked hand in hand, rising from obscurity to the pinnacle of Indian politics. Without one, the other would not be who they are today. Nowadays, Modi has revamped every detail of his life. Modi, who is in his 70s, is even recognized as the most philanthropic person in India. His old comrade Shah is different. He keeps his life experiences hidden in the shadows. Every Indian knows him, but few truly understand him, to the extent that opposition leaders openly question whether he is truly a Hindu. The relationship between Modi and Shah is the most important in contemporary Indian politics, yet it remains shrouded in ambiguity and mystery. Silence is the only creed. I did not provide them with any hints, it was the party that provided them with hints. To uncover the story behind it, I spent a month dredging, searching, and sorting through the darkness. The materials involved included reports from various mainstream media, compilations of BJP documents, and a sycophantic biography of Shah. But it was worth it, because no other story better captures the essence of contemporary India than the story of these two individuals. Shah was born in 1964 in Gujarat into a wealthy high-caste family. His father was the president of a stock exchange, and the family also owned a pipe manufacturing business. Starting in 1969, Gujarat gradually became the region in India where nationalism was most prevalent. As a member of a well-established high-caste family, Shah attended schools run by the ISS, an Indian nationalist organization, from a young age. You can understand this as the grassroots base of the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. So naturally, when Shah grew up, he joined the BJP. At the age of 17, Shah met the 31-year-old Modi, and the two became partners. However, there are no credible sources detailing the specifics of this period. It is only known that at the time, Modi was a local worker for the BJP, responsible for visiting factories and promoting the party. Meanwhile, Shah was still working in the family business. This was in the early 1980s, and the Shah family had extensive connections in the business community of Gujarat. Shah himself also had many wealthy friends, such as Gautam and Azari, the latter of whom later became the richest man in India. These resources were crucial for Modi, allowing him to rapidly rise through the ranks of the BJP, and his relationship with Shah played a significant role in this. In the 1990s, the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, launched a movement calling for the construction of a temple at Ayodhya, the birthplace of the Hindu deity Rama. The issue was that there was already an ancient mosque on this legendary birthplace. The BJP's real intention was not about the temple, but rather targeting Muslims. During that time, the then BJP president, Advani, drove a vehicle adorned with Hindu symbols, touring central India for 2 months, delivering speeches to incite Hindu voters. While researching, I came across a document released by the BJP in 2006, which provided another perspective. The document stated that in 1990, Advani began the historically significant Ram Rath Yatra, successfully igniting enthusiasm and prompting people to build the Ram Temple. Of course, according to Indian media reports at the time, Advani's campaign incited 116 riots between Hindus and Muslims across 14 states, resulting in 564 deaths. But the BJP document did not mention a word about this. It stated that Advani's activities conveyed a unique socio-political message to the people of India, a pilgrimage. Pilgrimage is an ancient way of fostering national unity in India. Today, the Bharatiya Janata Party can proudly claim that they have revived this ancient tradition of pilgrimage. See, this is the deep pool of the world, the pit of India. In this agitation or pilgrimage, the 26-year-old Shah emerged, responsible for helping Advani mobilize the masses, and he did so with extraordinary success. For India, this was an absolute major event, representing contemporary religious conflicts in India. This matter was far from over. On December 6, 1992, Hindu extremists demolished the Ayodhya mosque, sparking riots across the entire Indian subcontinent, including India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, resulting in approximately 2,000 to 3,000 deaths. But it still wasn't over. It simmered for another 10 years, reaching a peak in the 2002 violence in Gujarat. Modi and Shah rose to prominence within the Bharatiya Janata Party during this event, marking the beginning of a new era in Hindu history. Perhaps years later, someone will erect a monument outside the Gujarat government, inscribed with a date stating that Hindu nationalism flourished here. The background depicted on the monument must be the flames and carnage of the 2002 Gujarat riots. The riots began in this way. In 2002, Hindu organizations, in an effort to pressure the government, called upon all Hindus to go to Ayodhya, the birthplace of Rama. A large number of Hindus began to take action. On February 27th, as Hindus were returning home by train and passing through Gujarat, the train caught fire, resulting in the deaths of 58 Hindus. The next day, 5,000 Hindus in Gujarat attacked the Muslim community, resulting in 97 deaths. In fact, in India, this number is not particularly shocking, but this attack was referred to as a massacre. Afterwards, every official history of India would record this event, as the methods of killing were too brutal. I don't want to frighten you, so I won't provide the details. The massacre lasted for more than 10 hours, and the Gujarat police took no measures to stop the violence. In the following 2 days, violence continued in 151 towns and 993 villages in Gujarat. According to official figures, this series of riots resulted in 267 deaths, 223 missing persons, 2,548 injuries, and 606 children becoming orphans. Unofficial estimates put the death toll at nearly 5,000. At that time, the highest leader of Gujarat was Modi. Both the British and American governments believed that Modi was directly responsible for the massacre, and as a result, he was banned from entering the UK and the US for nearly a decade. However, Modi has consistently denied any responsibility for the violence. However, years later, the situation settled. In a speech, Shah proudly took a jab at Dear Modi, telling the audience that Modi taught them a lesson that time, and since then, no riots have occurred. In December 2002, after the riots, Modi and Shah participated in the same parliamentary election. Shah received 158,000 votes, ranking first, more than double Modi's vote count. Of course, it was still Modi who became the leader. That year, he was re-elected as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, and he immediately invited Shah to join the government as the Minister of Home Affairs, also serving as the Minister of Justice, as well as the Minister of Prisons and the Minister of Border Security. Oh, and the Minister of Civil Defense. Oops, forgot to mention the Minister of Excise, of course including the Minister of Transport, and yes, not to forget the head of the Prohibition Office. At the same time, he also had to oversee the National Guard, and the Police Housing Department, and finally, the not-so-important Department of Legislative and Parliamentary Affairs. Modi's governing style was very assertive, and his cabinet in Gujarat was referred to as a puppet cabinet. Later, as Prime Minister, he often bypassed the cabinet and parliament to make major decisions on his own, essentially meaning, those who believe in me, India, those who don't, transcend. In meetings in Gujarat, the most common occurrence was Modi issuing orders, and others could only za, 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 na, na, na. The fair-faced Modi praised Shah. Indeed, Shah was the only one who could truly communicate with Modi and even argue with him. Because as the then State Minister recalled, even with Modi present, Shah could still chair the meetings. The coordination and trust between these two never changed during Modi's 12 years as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Modi's ambition was not limited to Gujarat. He wanted to become the Prime Minister candidate for the Bharatiya Janata Party. But within the Bharatiya Janata Party, Modi had a strong rival, and that was the BJP National Committee member Haran Pandya. These two always wanted to eliminate each other. It was said that Pandya made the first move. In May 2002, Pandya told the media that on the night the massacre began, Modi convened a meeting instructing local police to allow people to vent their grievances. This instruction was the reason why the police did nothing on the day of the massacre. Pandya also testified in court related to the 2002 events, conveying a similar message. Then he died. In March 2003, Pandya was found dead in his car with 5 bullet wounds. Pandya's wife publicly accused Modi of being responsible for this, calling it a political murder. This is just one example. In the political wilderness of Gujarat, Modi and Shah teamed up to marginalize or expel their political opponents from the party or eliminate them physically. Pandya was very well known, which made this case very famous and had a significant impact. So this matter is not over yet. This case required silencing. In November 2005, a man named Sohrabuddin Sheikh and his wife Kausar were arrested by a squad of plainclothes police from Gujarat. There was no legal basis for this arrest. After capturing them, the police drove 960 kilometers overnight back to Gujarat. Sheikh and Kausar were not taken to a police station but were detained in a residential area. 2 days later, Sheikh was shot dead at a highway intersection. The police explained that Sheikh was killed because he tried to escape. 4 days after Sheikh's death, his wife Kausar was killed. And then a person named Prajapati was also shot dead while in police custody. In 2010, the Central Bureau of Investigation of India began investigating this murder case, and they found that Sheikh had been cooperating with the Gujarat police for many years. Evidence suggested that he might have been one of the killers of Haran Pandya. Prajapati was also one of the perpetrators in this case, and the police officers who killed these individuals made several phone calls before and after each murder, and the person on the other end was always the same, Amit Shah. In July 2010, investigators arrested Shah, who spent 3 months in jail before being released on bail. Then followed a lengthy trial process, with the lawsuit taking several years to officially prosecute, but this is normal. A characteristic of the Indian judiciary is its extremely efficient inefficiency. According to data from the National Judicial Data Grid of India, there are over 50 million cases pending trial across India in 2024. At the current pace, it would take more than 300 years to clear the existing cases. Additionally, Indian judges often display astonishing ignorance. A well-known judicial journalist in India reported publicly that he had several informal meetings with judges of the Indian Supreme Court. Initially, the journalist thought the judges wanted to leak information, but later he realized they called him for discussions because these judges believed the journalist knew more than they did. Once the journalist went to meet a judge, intending to ask whether the Modi government had influenced the judicial system and how it had done so. The judge wisely advised the journalist to read a related report to understand. The journalist was quite shocked and told the judge that he was the one who wrote that report. The judge took out his phone, looked at the byline, and then told the journalist that he should be the one answering the question. So, let's return to the fascinating judicial system of India. In 2012, the Supreme Court transferred the case of Shah from Gujarat to Mumbai for trial in a different location and instructed that the entire trial be completed by the same judge. However, the trial wandered in the judicial black hole for 2 years. During these 2 years, the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, launched Modi as the candidate for Prime Minister of India. Meanwhile, Shah was not idle. In 2013, he went to Uttar Pradesh, the largest vote bank in the elections. For the previous 15 years, the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, had repeatedly failed here, but Shah managed to turn the situation around in less than a year. Shah had a profound understanding of Indian politics. He told his team that campaigning had nothing to do with ideology or governance plans. The only criterion for winning was not the popularity of the candidate, but the detestability of the opposing candidate. At that time, internet coverage in India was still very low. But Shah managed to achieve the effect of internet dissemination through sheer manpower, focusing on the largest rural population. A large number of BJP workers used computers and hard drives, going from one village to another, showing them videos. The videos invariably contained 2 elements. One was Muslim villains slaughtering cows, tears streaming down, very pitiful. The second element was Muslim men taking away thousands of Hindu women, not because they liked them, but because they wanted to marry Hindu women, leaving Hindu men without partners, making Hindu women available. This is what they called a love jihad. Stirring up Hindu nationalism is the winning strategy of the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, and for those young Hindu men, there are 2 things in the world that cannot be taken away: cows and Hindu women. So, this strategy immediately had a full impact. So in 2014, the Bharatiya Janata Party won the general election, and Modi became the new Prime Minister of India. The success in Uttar Pradesh was largely due to Shah's efforts. As soon as Modi took office, he immediately began handling Shah's case. He quickly replaced the first judge, who had the audacity to demand that the suspect appear in court for trial, which was intolerable. However, the second judge was also uncooperative and even more stringent. So, 6 months later, the judge named Noah unexpectedly died of a heart attack. Noah's family later revealed to the media that before his death, someone had been pressuring him and offering large sums of money to stop the trial against Shah. The second revelation was even more explosive. The family also stated that the police claimed the judge died of a heart attack, but his clothes were covered in blood, and when he was taken to the hospital, there wasn't a single working electrocardiogram machine available. However, these claims were of no use. The third judge who succeeded Noah was a smart person and dismissed all charges against Shah 3 weeks after taking over. Meanwhile, the Indian Central Bureau of Investigation, which had been investigating Shah for years, remained silent this time. Before the charges were dismissed, Modi had already appointed the murder suspect Shah as the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Shah repaid Modi's trust by leading the party to its biggest victory in an election, significantly increasing party membership, and managing the elections as effectively as before. Meanwhile, in March 2015, the Bharatiya Janata Party announced that its membership had surged from 36 million in August 2014 to 86 million, becoming the largest party in the world. This means that party president Shah managed to recruit 50 million new members in just 7 months. The public data from the Indian government is often unpredictable, not to mention such astonishing statistics, so I find it hard to believe. But this data further amplified Shah's immense power. Shah is the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party, not a government official, yet when cabinet ministers receive his call, they jump up from their chairs to answer standing. India's police forces, security forces and intelligence agencies all fall under his control, and what he truly oversees is certainly more than that. Without a doubt, he is the second most powerful person in India, with only one person above him. And that is Narendra Modi. After years of collaboration with Narendra Modi, the cooperation between these two is seamless. For instance, Modi maintains an ethereal presence, leaving all the dirty work to Shah, or Modi himself has mentioned this, Modi rarely participates in press conferences in India, but in the summer of 2019, he and Shah gave an interview together, A journalist asked Modi a question regarding the severe racial riots in India. The purpose was just for Shah to tell the reporter, "We are merely disciplined soldiers. In this matter, the party president decides everything." This time, it was his turn to stab dear Shah in the back. In fact, Modi wasn't wronging Shah. In the matter of reshaping India with Hindu nationalism, he is indeed the most crucial figure. In October 2019, Shah introduced the Indian Citizenship Amendment Act, which stipulated that Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Christians, and others coming from abroad could apply to obtain citizenship within 5 years. Except for Muslims. Many countries along with the United Nations condemned this blatant religious discrimination law, but the parliament still passed the act. Another major task was to secure the massive amount of money needed for elections. Modi is widely recognized across India as the most stylish elder statesman and man. He is responsible for looking good, while Shah is responsible for earning money to support the family. To raise more campaign funds, in 2018, Modi and Shah invented a method for fundraising called electoral bonds. Simply put, electoral bonds are interest-free loans given by any individual or institution in India to a political party for election purposes. Buyers can remain anonymous, and the source cannot be traced. According to a Reuters report by March 2024, electoral bonds had sold a total of $1.6 billion, with the Bharatiya Janata Party receiving nearly $1.1 billion. As a result, in the 2019 elections, the party spent money like a continuous torrent. As if the Indus River were flooding, it became uncontrollable. For example, helicopters are an important tool for Indian politicians to campaign during elections. They can be used for short-distance transport of candidates, carrying banners for advertising, and have countless other uses. In 2019, the Bharatiya Janata Party chartered 90% of India's helicopters until the election ended. As a result, candidates from other parties had no helicopters to use, leaving the opposition parties without opportunities. They did not like this approach and kept suing, saying that election bonds were illegal. In February 2024, the Supreme Court finally overturned this regulation and required banks to disclose the lists. At this point, Indians discovered that the largest donor over the past 6 years was a lottery company, which initially had not donated a single penny. At the beginning of 2019, under the management of the Enforcement Directorate of India, a raid was conducted on this company on charges of money laundering. 7 days after the raid, the company began purchasing election bonds designated for the People's Party, buying a total of $150 million worth of bonds. The second company is a construction firm. In October 2019, the Indian Tax Department conducted a raid on this company on charges of tax evasion. Subsequently, the company purchased $120 million worth of election bonds for the People's Party, and later, it also secured several large government construction projects. Overall, among the top 15 companies that purchased the most election bonds, 7 have been investigated by the government for various charges. Basically, they all purchased People's Party bonds a week later. It can be said that with this money, Modi secured his third term. In June 2003, then Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused Indian diplomats of being involved in several crimes within Canada, including a murder case. Canadian officials also stated that evidence indicated the orders came from the highest levels of the Indian government, specifically from Home Minister Amit Shah, who is considered Modi's right-hand man. Not long after, India faced new accusations. This time, an Indian government employee named Vishkaya Yadav was accused of plotting a murder in New York. Although it was Trudeau who personally addressed the issue in Canada, the Indian government was very firm, stating that these were absurd accusations. However, they couldn't afford to ignore the situation with the US. After being accused by an unknown American prosecutor, the Indian government formed a high-level investigation team to coordinate in Washington. At this point, to save face for everyone involved, India consistently claimed that the two incidents were unrelated, but the American investigators did not accommodate this narrative. They directly presented evidence stating that it was indeed the same incident. The Indian agent in the US, Yadav, sent a video to an intermediary before the operation, which showed the death scene of the assassination target in Canada. Yadav also motivationally told the intermediary to work hard, saying, "We have many, many targets." Similar accusations have emerged not only in Canada but also in the US, the UK, and Pakistan, with all assassination targets being Sikh activists. These individuals hope for the independence of Punjab from India to establish a Sikh nation. This operation is directly managed by the Home Minister, Shah. However, so far Shah's overseas operations have not been particularly successful, although he has been successful within India. The situation is increasingly dire. Shah is a tall and burly man with a bald head and a round face. His beard is unkempt, and he exudes arrogance without leniency. The look in his eyes is unsettling. In the minds of Indians, he is seen as someone who knows everyone's secrets, a man who knows everything. Indian novelist Roy has a great metaphor that illustrates the difference between Modi and Shah. He says that Modi has a unique charisma, which might be the most frightening aspect of him. Amit Shah, on the other hand, is like a one-stringed instrument, and the only note he can play is fear. But let's switch perspectives for writing. While researching, I found a book published by a BJP organization about Shah, which includes many anecdotes about him. I'll just quote one. The interesting thing about this story is that even though it was written in Hindi, and I used machine translation, the tone still feels so familiar when reading it. I won't change it. I'll just translate this story directly. Shah is known for going all out to achieve the goals he sets for the party. His colleagues often joke that he doesn't sleep himself and doesn't let others sleep either. One day, in Manipur, Kelly should stay awake all night. Once he worked late into the night, a time he usually used to handle letters, books, notes, feedback, documents, and political analysis. Shah lost track of time and suddenly heard, a peacock calling in the garden. Shah was surprised that the peacock was calling in the middle of the night. Upon inquiry, an assistant told him that it was now 4:30 in the morning. The peacock was already awake, which made me suspect that all these flattering little stories in the world were written by the same author. They are all the same. Flattering, awkward, childish, yet so sincere. The person writing this story seems unaware. Occasionally working until 4:30 in the morning is not unusual. I've done it many times. What's unusual is that the three people are in their own home with an assistant, and outside there's a garden with a peacock. Here in India at 4:30 in the morning, it's not just Shah and the peacockers who are awake, but countless workers and Dalits are working tirelessly just to bring home a full meal for their children. I am Poppy the Big Dog, and my effort is driven by zero support. Thank you for your attention and likes. See you next time.